Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of The Conversation with Stevie. This is the place where we uncover the why behind the what of what people do. I am Dr. Stevie Aisha Mills, and I'm an online monetization consultant who specializes in working with Christian women entrepreneurs so that they can make sure that they are monetizing their expertise and knowledge. So if the world shuts down, their bank account does not have to. Today is going to be a super great, amazing conversation. I'm super excited about the young lady we have with us. She has such a beautiful name. I'm so excited to tell y'all. Her name is Tiana. I love that. And so without any further ado, Tiana, how are you?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. So the first thing I always tell people is the best introduction you can give is of yourself. Of course, we have your full bio and everything in the show notes for people to go ahead and read, but how would you introduce yourself?
Ooh, that's an excellent question. Thank you for letting me do it. So I'm Tiana Dodson. I'm a fat body liberation coach and facilitator. I live in Central France. I have a 60-year-old. I'm a wife. I'm a trying to be busy entrepreneur, and I'm out here trying to help people live their best fat lives.
I love that. I love that. And as somebody who has gone through different spaces inside of my own weight, a few years ago when I was 30, it's been more than a few years. I'm 42, about to be 43 now. But I feel like it went kind of fast. I actually, just to show you my journey with weight and the different things, I went from a size 14 to a size 0 very rapidly. And so one thing I know for sure is mindset. When you're in a space of mindset, because I did that because I was stressed out and I got sick, and I actually ended up having to have 3 colonoscopies within 30 days, 2 within 24 hours, shingles, and then I went from a size 14 to size 0. So my body, this was seemingly overnight. And what happened was I was still in the, size 14 mindset. So when I was a 0, I was there. So let's talk about the mindset, because a lot of times, as we go through the journey of losing weight, gaining weight, especially in this COVID time when a lot of people have gone through different sizes in their clothing, what do you think is the strong mindset we have to have at any size?
That's a great question, and I'm sorry to hear that you had this experience. It's terrible. Man. But right now, it's really the thing that's important to focus on is just giving yourself space and grace to survive, because things out here are really tough for everybody. We've got this virus going around, there's a lot of misinformation, and there's a lot of really challenging situations. And so, what your body is doing is what it's doing that is necessary to keep you alive. And that's something that's really important to hold on to. So whatever size you end up after, maybe, if the pandemic ever ends, that's not the important thing. The important thing is that you made it.
Amen. 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 And so how did you get into this work? What was your backstory?
My backstory is that I've basically been fat pretty much my whole life. And because I've been fat pretty much my whole life, I've also sort of been dieting my whole life. I've lost weight, I've gained weight, I've done pills, I've done all kinds of diets. I've tried a lot of everything that's out there. And in the end, I got to a place where something wasn't right, because there was nothing that I could do to keep my weight down. And in spite of the fact that I wasn't thin, I was healthy. All of my blood work looked really good. I was active. I had a partner who loved and cared about me. And I was happy, So all of the things that I had been told that fat people could not have, I had, and I was confused by that because the only thing that was actually quote unquote wrong with me was the fact that I was in a larger body. So I went online looking for just, could it be possible that I could be healthy and still be fat at the same time? And that's when I found the Health at Every Size movement and paradigm that basically gave me the information that I needed and the permission that I needed to no longer be focused on how much I weighed or how large I was, but be much more focused on how actually I was taking care of myself. And so regardless of the fact or the size of my butt, if I was doing the things that I needed to do to make sure that I stayed healthy, that I stayed happy, and that I stayed like doing my best life, living it actually, then that was what was important.
I love that. I love that. And I just want to ask you a question as far as the word fat, right? We all have different opinions of that word. And do you think it's more of something like that we could actually quantify, or do you think it's something that people just label? Like, do you think, because somebody who's size 0, they could have somebody who's a larger size and be that's fat to them. But I'm just trying to figure out, let's break down this word fat, because being somebody who went from a 14 to a 0, like somebody else would be like, a 14 is small. But for me, that was the larger size. So I just want to have some conversation around that.
No, I think that's a great question. And I'm asked this pretty often. So I quantify fatness in 2 ways. So there is what I call relative fatness, and then there is absolute fatness. And relative fatness is, for example, Khloe Kardashian. Khloe Kardashian is normally referred to as the fat Kardashian because she happens to be larger bodied than the rest of them. However, if Khloe Kardashian leaves the family home and is out and about in the world, Khloe Kardashian would never be considered fat. Like, Khloe Kardashian would never be, for example, shamed by a medical provider or denied care because of her body size. So that's relative fatness. Absolute fatness, on the other hand, is where, like, you are fat regardless of who you're with, where you're at, or what you're doing. And absolute fat people, like myself, we start to encounter access issues because we are denied care at the medical providers because everybody's like, well, it doesn't matter what you're here for. We don't care that your arm is broken. What you really need to do is be focusing on your weight, or like, just like, oh, we don't have a chair that fits you because you shouldn't be as big as you are. So, like, this is a huge difference between relative fatness and absolute fatness. So if you consider yourself fat, I'm not going to challenge you on that. That's your business. Like, fat is an adjective, it is a descriptor, and it is just what that is. But if you are someone who considers yourself fat, regardless of your situation or who you're with, then that's how you identify, and I think that's okay. But there are things that we have to consider, such as, like, actual levels of marginalization, because, if you're a size 14, which could be maybe the largest size you've ever been, or like you're the largest person in your family, a size 14 person, like, even though relative to your experience, you're having a really negative experience, generally you're able to, for example, go out into a store and shop for clothes and be able to find things that actually fit you and have, like, lots of variety. There's lots of stores that are available to you. You don't generally challenge, like, the weight limits of, for example, like a ride at a carnival. You're not generally going to have trouble buckling yourself into a plane seat, or like getting a seating on a bus or something like that, or even like finding a chair that fits you for your office job if you have one. So, like, that's something that always has to be considered.
Awesome. Thank you. And I want to ask you, what are some of the things in our world today that you think people need to be more sensitive to or more aware of when we are dealing with people of all sizes? What do you think would be the thing that you're like, okay, I think that people need to open their eyes to this because I don't think they're aware, or I think they overlook it?
This is a fantastic question. So I think that something that's really important is we're not inherently disgusted by fatness. Like, you're not born thinking that fat people are gross. That's not something that's in your mind. Each and every one of us has at some point in our lives loved a fat person, because fatness is one of these things that crosses racial lines, it crosses class, like ability, like all the spectrum of human existence. Fatness could be possible there. So for all of human history, fat has served an important physiological need for storing excess energy and helping us survive through times where food access was low. It's an amazing biological tissue with fascinating properties. It's warm, it's soft, it's comforting. And the war on fatness that's been waged pretty much my entire lifetime, I'm 41, this war has not resulted in making people less fat. No country who has ever undergone this process has been successful at it. And that says something. But ultimately, we focus too much on the individual, seating the quote-unquote problem of fatness at a person's feet, when instead it's a systemic problem and an access issue that needs to be addressed.
Awesome. I love that. And one of the questions I ask people is kind of like a fill-in-the-blank question, and it's become a famous question here on The Conversation, and it is, Dr. Stevie, we cannot leave this conversation today without people knowing, and then fill in the blank with whatever you think they should know.
Ooh, put me on the spot there. Oh, Dr. Stevie, we can't leave here without people knowing that regardless of the size of their bodies, they can live their best fat lives. They don't have to wait until they're a certain size. They don't have to wait until they're a certain weight. They don't have to wait for any of those things. They can make the choice and start making the changes that make them live the lives of their dreams.
I love that. And so as we begin to wrap up this conversation, definitely has been an amazing one. Super excited that we got to spend time with you. I definitely want you to give us any contact information that you have for people to stay connected with you.
Absolutely. So if you want to get in contact with me, one of the best places to do that is Instagram. On Instagram, I am Tiana Dodson, so at I am Tiana Dodson. You can also find me at my website, which is tianadodson.com. And I'd love to hear from you. Drop me a DM. I'm happy to talk back to whatever you've got to say.
I love this. And so, you all, this has been an awesome and amazing conversation. Today we spoke to Tiana Dodson, and we really had an introspective look at what the world says is fat. And we talked about relative fat, and we talked about actual fat. And I just love this because I understand at different shapes and sizes we come in, and that's the beautiful thing about this world. I am Dr. Stevie Aisha Mills. And again, I am an online monetization consultant who is specific about helping you to make money with your gifts, skills, talents, and abilities so that if the world shuts down, your bank account does not have to. If you ever want to reach me, then you could just go to workwithstevie.com. Workwithstevie.com, and that's Stevii. You know, I always end everything I do by saying, make it a great day, don't have a great day. Make it a great day. Why? Because you, and yes, you too have the power to do so. Bye for now.